What's the haps? I'm Meroka, and welcome to Spiel. This is going to be an interesting one to record. Very interesting. See, last Friday I got a new graphics card. I have upgraded my computer to a GTX 970, which is very, very nice. Downside of that is that my monitors are so ancient that the actual connectors that come with that graphics card don't actually, well, connect to my monitors. So, well, it connects to one of them, it won't connect to both. And normally I've got notes for doing spiral spiels on my second monitor whilst I'm playing the game on the other monitor. This is not happening, so I've kind of got the window off to one side of a monitor and my notes peeking out the side of the on the other side of the same monitor. It's awkward. I'm probably going to have to change window a couple of times to have a look at my notes, because it's not going to be convenient to reference, I don't think. It's going to be interesting. So, we are in the Amber Rook. I think it's Amber Rook. I don't know, I can't see my sheet. I believe it was Amber Rook. If I press this, we can bring it up. Amber Rook indeed. Amber Rook is the gate. It is jelly themed. Can't remember if we did jelly last week. We may have done, I'm not sure. But hey ho, more jellies. Jellies are fun, jellies are tasty. So, yep. So I mentioned last week, not that many people saw it, because something else came up which you might have noticed. Yeah, not a lot of people watched Spiel last week, but I did say that this week I would not be doing the usual Spiel. This is going to be the Button Mash Gaming Awards, because it's, well, that time of year in which everybody does their top lists of games for the year, and I'm no exception. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon as well, so I'm going to be going through my favourite games for the past year, and indeed some of the upcoming stuff, because that's cool. First, to touch on to do a little bit of Spiral Nights news, yeah! Gunner updates here. You knew that. That's the reason nobody watched Spiral Spiel last week. You were all watching my video on the Gunner update. That's very highly watched, and Spiral Spiel is not very watched, comparatively speaking, compared to usual anyway. Numbers are right down on that last week, so yeah, go back, catch up with last week's show. That's the thing you could do. And then, well, you can do that after you've watched this. Watch this and then go back and watch last week's show. So, I don't really need to elaborate on the Gunner update too much, I don't feel, because, hey, it's the Gunner update. It's been out for a week. I imagine most of you probably are aware it's here, what it entails. And if you weren't, I put out a 10-minute video going through the patch notes for you, which you should also go and watch. Go do that. I'm not going to go through all that again. So, let's do some gaming awards. I should have some sort of jingle or thing for it. I did notice, we talked about this on the podcast recently, there was Jeff Keighley, who I believe was the host for the Spike TV Gaming Awards last year, which was much highly criticised. He puts his own money into putting up in a new award show of his own. He made the Jeff Keighley Gaming Awards this year, and it now seems to be everyone's calling it the Gaming Awards. Indeed, it calls itself the Gaming Awards, so I guess they want to be the official ones, the one and only. They're not the one and only. I'm going to do some Gaming Awards. I'm going to steal their thunder a little bit. Maybe just a little bit. I'm going to talk about completely ridiculously different stuff anyway, so hey, this is my kind of thing. So this is the Button Mash Gaming Awards, not the Jeff Keighley Gaming Awards. However, I did look at their categories, and they're probably a little bit more sensible about categories than some other gaming award shows. They do still have the genres, and genres still kind of, I don't know, genres are kind of a weird one to pick, just saying, oh, this is the best first-person shooter. I don't know, you don't get that in other media, do you? I mean, you look at film awards, it's often by, well, by discipline, not by, oh, best rom-com of the year, best Michael Bay blockbuster, I don't know, it's best... I don't think they do that, do they? I don't really tend to follow that, but it's usually best actor, best soundtrack, that kind of thing, best screenplay, these kind of things, not really best genre of film. So yeah, let's do some by discipline, because we're a proper medium? Try medium. There's only one of us, there's only one gaming medium. We are a proper medium, and we require the artistic recognition that we so desire. So let us begin with Best Performance, which is a category I ripped straight from the Jeff Keighley's one. I think most people would call that Best Voice Acting in a game. I suppose when you get into bigger titles, there's an element of mocap in there as well, so performance could be judged that way, but yeah, basically characters acting, that kind of thing. For me, I've not... Hey, we've got apparently some sort of leaked notification. Don't read the thing if you don't want spoilers in the corner, kids, because someone's just spoiled things for all of us. Hooray! I don't know that I played too much with a lot of heavy acting this year. I would say, though, Dawn Bennett, I think, is my choice, who would be Lilac from Freedom Planet, who did an excellent voice acting job for that character. I hate to bring up the scene because it probably brings back terrible memories for a lot of people. The torture scene, you know the one, the torture scene. It's not a fun one to watch, it's a goddamn awful one to watch, but that scene is entirely made by the quality of Dawn's voice acting. The reason that scene is absolutely horrifying to experience is because Dawn is such a good voice actor in it. So yeah, that's why I would go with that one, because that was downright uncomfortable, and yep, voice acting made the entire experience. I'm struggling to think of much other voice acting that I have really been privy to that I particularly appreciated, and I can't think of a whole lot. Really, those things can heal through the gates. Get away from the healer. I don't want you being healed. So yeah, that's the one that sticks out in my mind most there. I would go with I think a lot of gaming awards. Jeff Keighley didn't actually do this, I will note, but a lot of gaming awards go, oh, best graphics, and by which they just mean which game looked the most realistic this year, because we're continually pushing those boundaries, and all the games ultimately look very, very, very much the same, because there's very little you can do to improve graphics at this point. It's all minor increments at this point, so for me, I'm going to go with best visual style, which, best visuals, whatever, and I think that would go to Tower of Guns, because that was absolutely gorgeous as a game. It was... I would say it was entirely hand-drawn. I don't think it was. I think Joe had some technique which made it look hand-drawn without needing to hand-draw quite as much as he might have liked you to otherwise have believed. But nonetheless, it came out looking fantastic. It looked like a first-person shooter that's all been drawn by hand, and it looked pretty damn good. I'll say that much for it. Oh, goodies! Compounds. Everyone hates those. I will also mention, this may be one because I do this with my gaming awards, because I'm a massive douche, I can give ties to things. I will also say Elegy for a Dead World also looks absolutely stunning, which is, I believe, entirely at the hands of the artist Luigi Guattieri. I'll probably put annotations to as much of this stuff on my video as I can totally remember and find time to do. I did do a first impressions video of Elegy on Monday, and you can go check that out. I will note for Elegy, if you were to look at the store page at the time of me recording this, it says, oh, the game's not out yet, and therefore would be disqualified from my giving it any kind of award. I don't know whether I'd say this. I guess I can. By the time this video goes live, it will be 6 PM in Massachusetts, where the developers are based, and they're wanting to put the announcement out today, so I would hope they put the announcement out before they knock off work for the day. What kind of compound are we in? Again, I always do that. Game map. Well, I feel like that's the menu that should come up when you press escape. I don't know why. It is a creeping colony, so my gear's probably pretty reasonable for it. Okay. So Elegy for a Dead World. I know they wanted to make the announcement themselves, and this is why I couldn't give you a release date, by the way, on Monday when I did the first impressions. But the game's coming out today. They wanted to be the ones to announce it first, and I knew it was coming out on Wednesday, but I was not allowed to say it was coming out on Wednesday. So it is now Wednesday, and like I said, by the time this video goes out, they should probably have finished work for the day, and I would bloody hope they've made the announcement, to be quite honest, by that point. So if they haven't, whoops, real major my bad on my part. But yeah, the game is out today, therefore it's totally eligible for my gaming awards, I would say. So Elegy for Dead World, it looks absolutely gorgeous. If you have not checked that out, you should totally check that out. Elegy for Dead World is stunning in the highest. Absolutely fantastic. I got best Online experience was a category Jeff Keighley offered up. I'd go with that as a category, I guess. It's an interesting one when you think about online experience. It's not best... it's not necessarily the best online game, just the best online experience. And me and Will on the podcast had a little bit of a back and forth on this and on what it entails, and he was like, oh, you didn't... I mentioned on the podcast I thought potentially Hearthstone was... Not Hearthstone. Hearthstone and Titanfall were good candidates, and I think I in the end I was like, yeah, I'll probably give it to Titanfall. I'm not sure I would now, actually. Giving it some thought, Titanfall and Hearthstone are probably the two of the best candidates that they picked out for it. And I'm trying to think of other online stuff I played this year. I've not played loads, because I'm not an online gamer kind of person. Outside of MMOs, to be honest. How do I open this? I'm missing a switch somewhere, aren't I? Where is a switch? Is there a switch? What have I missed? No? So yeah, I would probably actually give it to Hearthstone, all things considered. When we're talking about online experience, Titanfall was actually... I did enjoy Titanfall a lot. Whether it was the best online experience or not, I'm not rightly sure if it was, compared to Hearthstone. I think the notable advantage I would say Hearthstone has over Titanfall is Titanfall is still an online first-person shooter, which has the problem that a great deal of the online experience, as it were, still involves being abused by 12-year-olds over the voice comms. So, yeah, that's kind of that's a negative mark in favour of any first-person shooter online, just by virtue of it being a first-person shooter online. You can't really escape that, so I think it gets marked down on that basis, I'm afraid. Hearthstone, you have no such problems, because they can't talk to you except through a very select, limited amount of emotes. And I know I've criticised Nintendo on past occasions for doing that, but... hey, it keeps people from being really, really awful people to you. So hey, it's maybe not a bad decision, to be honest. So yep, that's okay. Hearthstone is a great online experience. It's just like you never get to meet people. Here's just people to play with. You will never know any more than their name and rank, which is cool. That's cool. I like that. So yeah, that's online experience. Isn't it interesting? Like as I say, that is an interesting category. You could just file all online games in any way, shape, or form under there, and just say, which was the best game? Which I think was the attitude Will was taking when I mentioned Titanfall. Will was like, "Oh, you didn't particularly care for that game." I was like, "Yeah, but we're not talking about the game so much as we're talking about the online experience." And you know what? It went bad. I can't remember exactly what the context was that I didn't like about Titanfall now, come to think of it. Oh, it was the story. Yeah, I didn't particularly care for the story. The story was a bit weak in Titanfall. Mostly because you didn't pick up on it because you were busy shooting things, mostly. So yeah, the story was weak, and I marked it down at the time for that. But when we're not judging the story, when we're judging the online experience, well, that's a different category and should be judged separately and on its own merits, I do feel. I'm not going to mark down its online experience based on it having a weak story. If we were judging a game on its best story, well, then I would probably... I'm looking at my categories. I don't think I actually do have a best story, and that totally should be in there, shouldn't it? What have I got? Let me... 1 second. Let me just get my categories up. I totally didn't put one in there. Right, okay, well, we're going to have to do that. I suppose let's do that now. Best story, best narrative, as it were. I would say Always Sometimes Monsters, because it is one of the best narrative experiences I've seen in a video game in a... well, ever. Best narrative experience ever in a game. No questions asked. It's... every decision you make has some... or nearly every decision you make in that game, even right down to selling items and things to the vendors and stuff, has, in many ways, some kind of actual impact on the events that unfold in the story. Most of them won't have any significant lasting impact, but they will have, at some point, chances are a lot of things will come back to bite you in the ass or influence the story one way or another. A lot of things that you say and do in that story, no matter how minor, often have some significant and tangible effects on the gameplay. And it's a ridiculous amount of things that you think, oh, that won't possibly achieve anything. That's just me wandering around the town poking at things. And ultimately it turns out that actually, yeah, that actually does change a later scene based on the decisions you made. Indeed, there's one decision I made that I didn't know I'd made. There's one item that I neglected to pick up that changed the story, because I didn't pick up the item, because I didn't realise I needed to pick up the item, which was absolutely insane. So yes, best narrative experience, left a profound impact on me, that game. Go play it. What do I got now? Let's get back on track. I've got best soundtrack. I would give to also Always Sometimes Monsters. That game had a soundtrack that I downloaded all 3 albums of the OST. They've got them all up on Bandcamp. Two of them were paid albums, and then they did another one which was just free stuff. They did, like, I think they did an EP of 5 tracks, they did an LP of 15 tracks, and then they did another XP, which was everything else that didn't make it into the first 2 albums, which was the other 20 tracks. So there were 40 tracks in there. They obviously sort of judged them as being of varying qualities and put them in the different albums accordingly. But ultimately, I think all 40 tracks are absolutely stellar and totally worth listening to, and I have gone out of my way on a number of occasions to just sit and listen to the album, because it's fantastic. So there's a great soundtrack. It's, I believe, done mostly by a band called Laser Destroyer Team. So if you want some good listening, Laser Destroyer Team comes recommended from me. So that's a thing. What else have we got? I'm trying to read the next category on the tiny bit of the page, but I can't see it. Most innovative, I think, is what that says. Most innovative would go to, well, again, a game that's out today, so totally counts, Elegy for a Dead World. It is a game about creative writing. It doesn't get much more innovative than that. It encourages your own innovation, so you are given a bunch of blank script type things, and you are supposed to write your own... well, basically write your own story out of it. They give you a bunch of prompts, a little bit Mad Lib style, and from that you... oh god, that's gonna hurt. Can I kite it back into the thing? Oh no, I can't. Die already. Jesus, rocket puppies, man. I should probably go get the other one on the other side, right? So yeah, it's a little bit Mad Libs, there's a lot of... blank happened, and then I found blank, and then I found this, but I didn't know what to make of it. It was very blank, and... you fill in the gaps appropriately, and there's not much more to it than that. That is pretty much the entire game, but in terms of challenging the player in a new and unique way, definitely fits the bill. It's one of the most interesting titles I've played in a long time, and if you're not particularly confident at writing, it's damn intimidating is what it is, actually, I would say. If you're not... I enjoy writing, but... very rare is the writing that I do creative, so it's kind of that's something for me. Ow! God damn you, rocket puppy! Did you set yourself on fire? Oh, it might. No, it set the jellies on fire. Right. Okay. Die! 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 All of you things! Die! 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 No! Don't want jellies in my life. Oh man. Okay. That's most innovative. There's a lot of games this year I kind of want to give mention to. I think I'm probably just gonna have to go into like special mentions and things. And there's some stuff that's great that's not out yet, so they may go. I've got a one to watch category, but it's going to be like 5 or 6 to watch, I think. We've got what have we got? We've got. I think that's most of the notable categories I had, actually. Just leaving a Game of the Year, I think. Let me grab my performance, visual, online experience, soundtrack, and most innovative. I did all those, right? Yeah, I did all those. Okay, so Game of the Year, I suppose. Game of the Year time. The big announcement. The pièce de résistance. I'm gonna get that in the back. Ouch, you stupid machine. I'm out of here. Game of the Year 2014 for me. If you've been following the podcast for the last couple of weeks, we've talked about this a few times. It's not going to come as any particular surprise to you. I've said several times I know what my Game of the Year is. I've known it for some time. It's left such a profound impact on me after finishing it that, you know, it was kind of a foregone conclusion. I have always known since I played this that this was going to be my Game of the Year. It would be ridiculously hard to top that as my Game of the Year. It is Always Sometimes Monsters. Between that kick-ass soundtrack and the narrative experience, it's an absolutely stunning experience. I would thoroughly encourage anybody and everybody to play that. Visually, it's not going to blow you away because it's an RPG Maker title, but the fact that they've done all that in RPG Maker is impressive in and of its own right. There are going to be a lot of zombies in here. I want to bring a voltage, I reckon. At some point in the near future, all this is going to become guns, you know, right? That right? We're going to be swapping over from swords to guns. I just don't have enough of them yet. In fact, I don't have any of the new stuff yet. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. There will be new guns in the near future. I've got recipes. In fact, I'm loath to mention it a little bit, but it's got something special lined up regarding the gunner update soon. Soon, very, very soon. Maybe this week, possibly next week. Not sure. I'll figure that one out. So yeah, that kind of leaves us with other stuffs at this point. We've got one to watch 2015 is all, like I say, one of my categories, but there's a lot that I've got my eye on at the minute. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I am, well, watching for next year. May not even be next year. I know their estimated release date for it was supposed to be December, but I've heard nothing on it. I played the prologue of it not so long ago, but VA11 Hall A, Valhalla. Which is a visual novel stroke bartending simulator. Kind of weird elements of I don't know what I'm trying to think. Not in terms of setting or anything particularly, but in terms of the gameplay, I feel it's a little bit Papers, Please, insofar as there's a lot of reading interspersed with elements of gameplay. It's a lot of talking to characters, and then the characters want you to make them a drink, and you must make the drink accordingly. How much impact that actually has on stuff? Sometimes surprising, actually. Sometimes the characters are like, oh yeah, I want one of these, I want it to be non-alcoholic, and you totally have the option to make them an alcoholic drink. And then they might go out and crash a car later, and that's your fault, because you made them an alcoholic drink. So, you can influence things, which is kind of awesome. So, yes, that's supposedly out December. If you go onto their website, it says, oh, we're aiming for a December release. Well, we're halfway through December. I actually haven't heard any word one way or the other on a release date from them yet, so I'm not rightly sure. I knocked that right into the frickin' radius of that bloody thing, didn't I? God damn it. So, yeah, if it's not out this year, it's probably, in all likelihood, going to be out next year. I would be very, very surprised if it didn't make it out next year, because, like I say, they're aiming for this year as a launch. So that'd be crazy talk to push it back any further. So, yeah, Valhalla, VA11 Hall A. There is obviously the prologue currently available to check out. I want to take that peel, grabbing peels. And yeah, go check that out. You can go check out the prologue. The prologue is awesome. I believe the full game, they've changed up the protagonist a bit. I'm not sure how or why. I'm not. There's details on the website, and it's like, I'm not sure what your rationale is behind some of these decisions. They just seem to be like, yes, the protagonist was supposed to be gender neutral, so the player could be the bartender. And then at some point, I believe one of the dialogue lines in prologue says Mr. Bartender, which kind of automatically assigns a gender to, which I think they were trying to strive to avoid doing. It was kind of an accident. And then in the full game, the bartender is just straight up a woman. They have pictures of the woman stood outside behind the bar smoking. So yeah, that's kind of unavoidable. And they have given an actual character to the bartender in this one. So that's going to be cool. That's going to be cool. That's going to be worth looking out for. A couple of bullet hell twin stick shooter type things that I think are worth looking at because, well, those are my genres, and I have been sent preview copies of both of these earlier in the year. In fact, one of them I've been sent twice. I do think they're both very cool based on what I've seen so far, and they're both aiming to be released next year. So they're worth looking for. Zenzik is one of them, which is super stylized and really kind of cool and interesting. It's got some loadout stuff going on, and you can, yeah, you can shoot things. It's a shooter. That's what you can do. It's pretty trippy and it's pretty cool. I like it. We've also got Well, are we in a compound again? We're in Jelly Compound, aren't we? Gate map. That's what I'm after. Gate map. Creeping colony. Yep. We've also got Rush Fusion, which is kind of a little bit roguelike-y in a shooter, which is kind of weird, but really kind of cool as well. You can pick from, as of the last build I got, there's like 3 different ships that have all got totally different properties and different styles of fighting, and then you can pick up a bunch of different upgrades along the way, and in typical roguelike fashion, it's done in a fairly sort of random way. You'll be given 3 upgrades to pick from, you can pick one of them, and the others are not gotten, and you have to hope that they pop up again at a later point in the game if you want them. You've got to keep fighting your way through to another upgrade station to get more upgrades, which is all rather cool. I like that. It's a very fun game. It's a bloody challenging game, mind you. I'm not that good at it, but no one said you had to be good at something to enjoy it. That's my stance on things. Also got, I don't think I've ever talked about this to any great extent. There is Karma Flow, which I believe is aiming for a January release. That's not so far out. Karma Flow is something I caught at PAX East this year, and I guess I don't think I have ever mentioned this, but it is a rock opera video game is what they're touting it as. I think it's mostly puzzle platformer type stuff, but then there's like this balance of good and evil, well, karma as it were, and the entire soundtrack is, well, it's a rock opera. They've actually got a rock opera performance, they've got a music show that goes with it. You can go to various concert halls in Denmark, I think is where they're based. I'm not entirely certain. You can go to various concert halls and actually see Karma Flow, the rock opera. This is Karma Flow, the rock opera video game, of course, though. So they've basically got a lot of high-profile artists as well to do all the vocals for it. I know, not least of which, I believe they've got. Oh, they got. I think it was Tony Kakko from Sonata Arctica. They definitely got someone from Sonata Arctica. I think it would have been, yeah, it was Tony Kakko from Sonata Arctica, and I'm a big fan of Sonata Arctica, so yep. And one of the vocalists from Dragon Force, and I'm a big fan of Dragon Force, so that's also awesome. Was it Dragon Force? Now I feel like it wasn't Dragon Force. Yeah, it's some big artists that I like, and I can't remember which ones they are, and I feel really bad about that. I'm pretty sure it was Dragon Force. Oh no, it might have been Within Temptation. Christ, I can't remember now. This is terrible. I'm a terrible person. I should be able to remember these things better. Either way, if you're into any kind of power metal type stuff like me, if you're into the same kind of bands as me, you'll probably want to keep your eye on that at any rate. So, yep. I had some others on my list, but it's too far off the side of my page. What else have I got? What? Uh-oh. I maximized it. Okay. Minimize it. Oh, jelly about to eat my face. Yes. Okay, 2 others. Discourse is, I think, possibly aiming for next year. It's one of those ones that it's a small team, and I'd be very surprised if they pushed it back any further than next year. Probably can't have a development cycle that would take it into 2016. That would be astonishing to do that. Is Discourse, which is another game I saw at PAX East. It's a... oh lord, who makes it? Was this an Alchemy? I think this is Alchemy making this one, I think. Although I could be wrong on that one. I remember the game, I'm not quite sure I remember who the developers were. I am such a bad person. Yeah, this is a game about being stranded on a desert island with a bunch of other survivors, and you must do what it takes to survive, and with each day that passes you'll be asked to make a bunch of decisions, and people can live or die based on your decisions, and then you'll have less resources to work with in future days if people die. If you send people out hunting and they get attacked by a wild monster and eaten, well, they're not going to be able to go hunting tomorrow, and you're not going to have any food today. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know how much replayability there is. I think the same decisions come up each day. It's not like procedurally generated or anything, which would have been totally interesting, but it's... I think if you play through the game again, on day 2 the same decisions will come up, and day 3 the same decisions will come up, but nonetheless it still sounds fascinating, and I would like to... Wow, come on! I killed it before it got to me. Ah, that sucks. There was also... Damn it, I just had this up on my page. What else did I have? Give me the page. Page says... Oh, Raven's Cry. Yes, that thing. Raven's Cry I've mentioned a couple of times. It's due out next week, according to the Steam page. It was due out 2 weeks ago, according to the Steam page, last time I was looking at the Steam page. And before that, it was due out like a month before that. I think this game's... I've been following this game for about a month or two, maybe. And it's a game about pirates, and I would really dearly love to play it. And now that I've got a good graphics card, I probably can play it, because it looks quite high fidelity. It looks... it's a full-price title, which normally isn't the sort of thing I go for, but for a piratey adventure game, hells yes, I'll look into that. The problem with it is, like I say, I think it's been delayed a lot. Since I've been following it in the last couple of months, it has been delayed twice. If you go onto the Steam forums and have a look at the discussions, a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm cancelling my pre-order. This has been delayed like 6 months now." It's like, oh, this has been going on for a while. I think this has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back over the last 6 months or so, judging by people's responses. I mean, I'm interested in the game, and I haven't pre-ordered it. Don't pre-order it. Why would you pre-order it? What possible incentive is there to pre-order games in this day and age? They don't even offer you anything for pre-ordering it, I don't think. So, I don't quite get this weird pre-order culture. People are like, oh, I'm going to retract my pre-order now. It's like, you shouldn't have done that in the first place. I'm dying to play this game. I have no plans to pre-order it. I'm not putting any bloody money down until I see the game's finished. Don't be bloody ridiculous. No. So, Raven's Cry may or may not be out next week. If past history is anything to go by, I suspect maybe not, but I remain optimistic that next week I will have my pirate adventure simulator thing that is going to be kick-ass. Hopefully. I hope it's going to be kick-ass. I want a pirate game to be kick-ass. It's a pirate game, it should be by default. Pirates are pretty kick-ass to begin with. If you make a game about pirates, you're starting from a very, very strong position. Just by theme of the game, you already have net positive kick-ass. So, you can only go, well, by having net positive kick-ass, you can easily go down from there, but you start in a positive position. Oh, it's one of these arena-type dudes. Okay, I can do an arena-type dude. Let's have some arena-type dudes. So those are my things to watch for the coming years. Probably a couple of others that I can't even remember as well. Those are the ones that, scanning through my Steam wishlist and my stuff that I've taken early looks at this year, those are the ones that really jumped out to me as, oh shit, yeah, these ones are going to be good. Or should be good, based on what I've seen of them and know of them so far. Some of them I'm just hoping will be good, I think, but nonetheless. So yeah, we've got one other thing, which I think is... Basically, I've got a category which was... I couldn't figure out where else to put this in my categories. Which I'm just going to call Honourable Mentions. Which is Jazz Punk. Jazz Punk is my honourable mention for the year, because I have no idea what category I could possibly put Jazz Punk under. Because it's such a strange beast. It did look very good, but it was not without its flaws, and it's probably not the best I've seen all year. It was a very great visual style. It's slightly flawed, but still nonetheless excellent visual style, but not the best in the year. Its writing was bizarre, excellent, very bizarre, completely surreal, weird, unusual, and strange. All of the above, all at once. Unfortunately, when we're competing for narrative, it was going up against Always Sometimes Monsters, which is the best narrative experience ever, so I can't categorize it there. Nonetheless, in spite of all this, I do feel it's all still worthy of mention, because it was so bloody good all around, and I would totally recommend you go buy that as just a honourable mention. It's one of the best games I played this year. Not the best, but so good that I couldn't leave it out. So, it's got that going for it. And with that, that conveniently brings us down to the Clockworks Terminal, which is rather nice timing indeed. Oh no, I left 3 crowns on the floor over there. Oh lord, whatever will I do? I need those 3 crowns! I'm a poor man, I've been buying gun recipes all week. That's not good. Oh well. So yeah, that should pretty much cover me. There's nothing off the top of my head. If there's anything else that's worthy of mention that I haven't mentioned, whoops. It can't have been that important. A little bit of me might have liked to have given a special mention to Drunken Robot Pornography, but I don't know. I never played all that much of it. It was a very good game. I don't know why. I just never quite... I never got sunk into it the way I thought I might in the end. They did do the Drunken Robot... Not the Drunken... That's the name of the game. The Robot Unicorn Attack event not so long ago, which was hilarious and phenomenal. I will note. That was totally worth checking out. That was a ridiculous fight and totally awesome. So, minor mention for that. How much money do I have? I profited off of Vanaduke recently. I sold one of his armors, so I got something. Do I have the things I need? There's a Grand Faust recipe. Is anybody buying those these days, or are they all after the guns? Probably the guns. There is a Frozen Pulsar. That would probably sell for a little bit of money on the auction house, I suspect. Is there anything else? This is what you gotta do with the Clockworks terminal now. You gotta pore over these things big time. Previously, there were only like 2 things you'd pick up. It's like, oh, there's Grand Faust, I'll have that. In this case, I probably won't. I don't think I want to hang on to that. But yeah, that'll do it for today, I think. So thank you very much for watching. I've been Meroka. This has been Spiel with the Buttermash Gaming Awards 2014. I'll see you next time.